Alright guys, well it's safe to say WWE has failed in 2025. And in this video, I'm going to give you guys many reasons on why I believe the WWE failed. And hopefully with giving these reasons, I'm hoping that we can get a much better 2026. Now, my number one problem with this year with WWE is that we got the same matches every single week. And when I mean same matches, basically the same people in a match, right? We would get a match, then we would get a rematch, then we get a tag match, then we get a distraction finish, then we get a disqualification, and then we get a can they coexist on the same team. And then we get to the pay-per-view and no one cares. We've seen this match 20 times already. No one cares, and that is the main problem. That's my number one problem I have with the WWE. And I will give you some examples with feuds that they've had in 2025. We had Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. They faced each other, I can't even count, probably over 5 times on Raw, right? And then they had constant interferences. They had DQs with their matches, and then there was tag matches that they had to be in. There's rematches. Can they coexist? All this nonsense, right? And then when the time that the feud actually ended, the fans did not care because we did so many matches between these two that any tension that brewed up between these two guys just wasn't there, right? And people aren't sick of these wrestlers. They're sick of the same match layout every single week. And you could say the same thing with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, like they're enemies and then they have to tag with each other and now they're best friends, like it's some cringy Disney show. That's really what it feels like, a cringy Disney show. So this is my main issue, right? The same matches, right? We can take it back to Gunther versus Jey Uso. They had a Saturday live event. That was their main event. Gunther won. And then like 2 weeks later, they have Jey Uso win the Royal Rumble and call out Gunther, right? We just saw this match 3 weeks ago. And now we're supposed to get hyped to see this match at WrestleMania. Now, my second issue is that the championships just don't matter anymore, right? The champions are barely on the show, like Cody Rhodes, never on the show, right? Ilya Dragunov had more title defenses than Cody Rhodes had. That is crazy. Ilya Dragunov was hurt half of this year. And when your champions aren't on the show, what are your characters who aren't champions? What are they fighting for? Because isn't their goal to become a champion? So why aren't your champions on the show telling stories every week? That's the main problem. Your top guys aren't going to your shows. Cody Rhodes is not constantly on SmackDown. Why is SmackDown constantly the worst show of the week? Why is it? Because your main guy is not on the show consistently. That is a problem. Roman Reigns shows up once every 5 months. I love him as a person, but like, what are we doing here? Right? We can't rely on guys who barely show up. You have to push new talent. Now, my next problem is that WWE teases payoffs that they're too scared to deliver. How many times have we seen the Judgment Day beef backstage and we thought something big was going to happen, but nothing happened, right? I remember Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio had some differences, right? What happened from their feud, from their little feud? Nothing. They're still on the same faction, doing the same stuff. Right? Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez, they had a little beef. What happened from that? Nothing. They're still in the same faction, saying the same stuff every week. These long-term storytelling, it's not working, right? We're waiting for a payoff that never happens. Never. Even with Damian Priest, when he was in the Judgment Day, there was no true ending. There was no true, ending between him and the Judgment Day. Or it just wasn't memorable. Right? And another issue I've had with this year in particular, they did not capitalize on the momentum that certain characters have, right? Let's talk about LA Knight. Once upon a time, LA Knight was probably the most over babyface in the company. But instead of pushing LA Knight, they push Jey Uso. Guys, let that sink in. We could have had a good year of LA Knight, at least trying to be a main guy on Raw or on SmackDown. But they gave it to Jey Uso instead. Okay. Now, is LA Knight the greatest wrestler? No. Right? But in my opinion, he's much better than Jey Uso, especially on the mic. He can tell a good story. So I think they really let down LA Knights, especially for 2025 and 2024. I don't see much of LA Knight. Like, I think he can be a good mid-card guy, but at this point, he's in his mid-40s, maybe closer to his 50s at this point. I don't see him being a main guy at this point. Like, it was either last year or this year is when you pulled the trigger. I think it's, you pull it now, it's a little too late because you have other guys coming up from NXT. You have guys who are going to retire soon. So I just don't see a time for LA Knight to really shine. Now, same thing with Drew McIntyre. I've been saying I push Drew McIntyre to the moon. But for some reason, Drew McIntyre is constantly the whiny character who just loses every match. Loses every match. He wins Money in the Bank, loses it. Like, these are things where you're consistently not burying. I wouldn't say bury him because he's constantly in the top matches. But when you keep losing and losing and losing, and you're kind of, the butt end of jokes, basically, it makes you look weak. Drew McIntyre looks weak, even though he's one of the biggest guys on the roster. And he's one of the best on the mic. So he should be one of the guys you treat as a top talent. But, 2025, 2024, Drew McIntyre really wasn't treated as a top talent. Another problem with, you can even say the modern day WWE, is that the promos just feel long, useless, loud, and just meaningless. Right? You have a guy come out, their entrance music is like 4 minutes long, and if we're talking about Jey Uso, it's like 15 because he likes to replay it. Most of the times, these promos are just very generic. We get lines like, I worked my whole life for this, or these people believe in me, or you don't respect me. And then the GM interrupts, the match is booked between these two guys who are just staring at each other at this point. It's meaningless, right? There's no personality between these promos. Like, you can tell they're scripted. And that's hurting the believability of the WWE and also just the engagement, right? When you have guys that can just cut great promos and you can have a good one-on-one promo battle. When's the last time we actually had a promo battle, guys? Can anyone think of a promo battle we've had of recent times? And here's the thing, most of the times where we get a promo battle, it's like 4 people in the ring. Or like, I remember CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes all in a ring, just digging at each other. That's not what I'm asking for. The thing is, I think it was that way because we had like 20 million triple threats in 2025. We just had triple threat match after triple threat match. Then we had a fatal 4-way. Then we have a tag team. A bunch of random matches. So that may be the reason why. Another problem I have, returns are useless pops now, right? AJ Lee comes back, huge pop. What story are they telling with AJ Lee? Nothing. I don't even know if she's in a storyline right now. She came back for nothing, right? Andrade came back for nothing. He got released, right? They had nothing in plan for him. They had him fight Carmelo Hayes like 10 matches in a row. Like, that's supposed to be something good. And there was fans actually cheering for it. Like, wow, these are the best 7-game series ever. Come on, bro. They just did that because they had nothing written for him to do. So we have these useless pops. Like, Brock Lesnar comes back for what? 1 week just to show up? And then he's gone for what? 5 months? He shows up, he rips his pants, and then the next week he shows up, slips on his entrance, and then we never see him? Huh. Okay. Well, that's cool storytelling, I guess. And then we're going to see him out of nowhere and we're supposed to pop like crazy. Now, another problem I have is that WWE thinks catchphrases are characters, right? Like Jey Uso, Yeet, the whole Yeet movement. That was his character, just the Yeet. That was the only thing that Jey Uso had, was that catchphrase. What else did Jey Uso have besides the catchphrase, guys? Can anyone tell me? Nothing. He had nothing else. That was what got him over, was just saying Yeet, right? And then we've gotten promos with Jey Uso where he's out of breath because he's out of breath from just walking down the stands from his entrance. He's out of breath. He doesn't know what to say. He's just saying Yeet every 2 seconds. And that's it. That's it. That's what we got out of 2025, guys. Yeet. And that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Happy New Year's, everyone. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.